John F. Kennedy Jr. was confident in his flying abilities on that fateful day in 1999, a flight he reportedly said he wanted to take alone. According to the National Transportation Safety Board's report of the crash, released in July 2000 and viewed by E! News, John F. Kennedy Jr. had told his flight instructor, Bob Marina, that he didn't need him on the day of his flight to Martha's Vineyard in July 1999. Bob later recalled that he had offered to come along, but John responded that he preferred to do it alone. That decision ultimately ended in tragedy, as not only he, but also his wife Carolyn Bessette and her sister Lauren Bessette lost their lives in the plane crash, which John was piloting. The well-known couple had planned for John to fly his Piper Saratoga, a more complex aircraft compared to the Cessna he had previously flown, from Essex County Airport in New Jersey to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. There, he would drop off Lauren before he and Carolyn continued northeast to Hyannisport for his cousin Rory Kennedy's wedding. At the time, the son of former President John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis was in the process of earning his instrument rating, an aviation certification that allows pilots to fly relying only on cockpit instruments instead of visual cues. However, his flight instructor told NTSB investigators that John may have faced challenges while flying, especially since the weather that night was poor and hazy. He also mentioned that he wasn't comfortable with John flying at night under similar conditions. He added that John was not yet ready for an instrument evaluation at the time of his death and still required more training. The NTSB report also states that the plane took off around 8:39 p.m. However, just over an hour into the flight, the plane made a left turn and began descending, eventually crashing into the Atlantic Ocean in the darkness, killing all 3 passengers on board. The wreckage of the aircraft was recovered 4 days later, about a quarter-mile north of its last recorded radar position. The crash is expected to be featured in the March 26th finale of Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, a biographical account of the couple's lives starring Paul Anthony Kelly and Sarah Pidgeon, now airing on FX and Hulu.